or 4 times a week.
Okay. I'm curious about the nasal breathing while running. What are some pointers you have for me, and what are some of the first steps I can take to sort of work towards that?
The first thing I would say is, if you put a barrier between, I'm going to either prioritize nasal breathing and aerobic development and flow. And what I mean by that is, I want to maybe listen to a podcast, maybe I'm just looking at the woods. And if I want to develop my aerobic capacity, maybe I start to push that. But I think people go in that direction too early, too fast.
Right.
They're redlining it. Snot's coming out of their mouth. They're like, this is freaking terrible. Run at a pace that you can comfortably breathe through your nose, even if it's nowhere near your normal running pace, because soon it will be. And then that will start to feel effortless. So people, I think the initial mistake is, if you normally, I'm just going to make this up, if you normally head out of your driveway running a 7-minute mile and you're breathing through your mouth, and you try to replicate that through your nose, and there's snot dripping, and you're having a panic attack because you can't breathe, and it turns out that you have to run a 9:30 or a 10-minute mile to comfortably breathe through your nose. Let that be a period of aerobic development in your training season, and watch how you can now run a 9-minute mile breathing easily through the nose, an 8:45, at 8:30. When you can actually speed out and hit that 7-minute mile nasal only, you're a more aerobically efficient athlete. And the only way to get there was to go there. If you decide to do that for the first time in your key race of the year, you're going to hate this advice. I was gunning for the podium, and you were looking at a training year and saying, okay, there's a build-up phase. This is connective tissue, tendons, joint health, aerobic development. Then you have this training phase, this peak training phase, competitive phase, and then a recovery phase or a shift phase, which phase where we're going from active competition to planning the next year and giving ourselves a break mentally and physically, so we can clearly see what's going to be an amazing year. I signed up for some races just out of that pure post-race, I got to get back on ultra sign up, and then thought, am I really excited about this run? I want to pick a couple of things that I'm like, oh, I can't stop thinking about it. Right. So the advice I would give is make it easy for yourself. You can pick 2 days a week where you say, I am all about aerobic development.
Okay.
All I care about is breathing comfortably through my nose. And you can watch your own heart rate on that. And when you can run faster with a reduced heart rate, breathing easily through your nose, you've made aerobic adaptations that are really hard to get from anywhere else. And then you get stronger, and then you build the skill a little bit. And now you're actually improving your running while being able to really tune into how your body's using energy. When we start to think about nasal breathing and the ability to use more fat than more sugar, now you're not the person having 17 goos by mile 30 of 100K, and going, man, my stomach's kind of messed up because I don't normally eat vanilla goo for breakfast. It's like, you're going to be able to use fat more as a fuel source. So there's the whole other side of how you breathe is how your body attacks energy stores or uses them.
How long is that adaptation process? Does it happen pretty quickly?
It's different for everybody. So we have a program, I'm not here to hawk it or anything, but we do have a program called Catch Your Breath, the runner's guide to beating breathlessness and unlocking their inner athlete. It's $20. It's on our site at breathetoperform.com, and it takes you through the whole process. For most people, it's 2 weeks to 3 weeks, where they're going through some runny nose stuff. They're feeling like almost everybody tries to go too fast with it. Again, meaning maintain too fast a pace.
Right.
Pick a couple of days a week where this is you developing an aerobic capacity that's going to be very hard for any competitor to match if they're constantly breathing through their mouth at slow, easy distances. And if you're actually going to try to gun it on the track and it's a speed workout, don't conflate the two things. You'll find that you can maintain nasal breathing at higher workloads, and you can maintain. I'll give you an exercise right now to try, and it's not comfortable at all. But if you're when I say if you're in running shape, what I mean is sprinting a good idea for you right now? Because when I've done a lot of slower endurance stuff, hitting a track immediately was not the best idea. My tendons weren't ready for that. Yep. If you're already sprinting, a workout that I like a lot, that is part of our Breathe to Perform program, is 5 by 100 meter sprints with 10 seconds rest in between. I'm going to hit a 100 meter sprint. I've warmed up for this. Hit a 100 meter sprint, all nasal, come back and clock it. Now, whatever that number was, however long it took you to hit that first 100, give yourself 10 seconds and work to repeat that time. Keep it nasal. The goal is to be able to get through that for 5 sprints. Now, it's immensely hard. And what we tell the athletes is for this exercise, only for this training drill, prioritize nasal breathing over the splits.
Okay.
So if you ran it and then you said, oh my God, I'm down 5 seconds, I'm down 7 seconds, my fifth one is 10 seconds slower than my first, and then in a month, you can match all those times. That's an awesome sign of progress for the athlete. They go, wait a minute, I couldn't do that, now I can do that.
Okay.
And it also shows them how damn hard they can work with nasal breathing. So it seems like I just gave two conflicting pieces of advice, and that make it easy, use it on your easy runs. But if you want a benchmark test, figure that out about yourself and say, wow, wait a minute, I can now maintain that first split at 90% of max heart rate, gunning it. I couldn't do it a month ago. That's a great confidence booster, especially when you're actually trying to throw the hammer down in a race and you think you need to breathe through your mouth to do it. You'll know from your own data that you're not even close. So that's a fun one, and you can definitely get some good data for yourself. And then again, it's almost like watching a weight go up in a gym.
Yeah,
if
totally.
You go up last month and you can do 3 pull-ups, you're happy because you saw something change. So give it a shot.
I'm going to try it, and I'm probably going to hate you for a couple minutes there, but I'm going to try it.
Ways to approach it, it's up to you.
Yeah.
One way to approach it is that you can breathe through your mouth on the 10-second rests. I encourage people not to do that.
Okay.
Encourage people to stay nasal on the 100-meter sprint, come back. It'll also teach you immediately what a full inhale is, because we've put you in a position where you really have to utilize those couple of inhalations, and you'll say, I've never felt my rib cage expand so much before. I'm going, like, oh my God, it's like I'm now 3D. I was almost like a cardboard cutout, and now I'm like 3D. You'll learn how to access your full lung capacity. It's a hard workout, but once you can do it, get some data, and then replicate it, it's just, it's something to be proud of, to say, wow, I did that. Now can I take that and can I start to practice some of the speed elements that may be part of your endurance training program? But the difference is, here's an analogy that you might appreciate from the business world. So I'm a big fan of Airbnb's initial, just sort of the way that they solved a problem and they created, maybe they created more. I'm not here to, to diss on Airbnb, but just the idea that they had this beautiful analogy where they talked about the 11-star experience. And they said, when we first started the Airbnb company, we had like a couple of users and they were in New York. And they had a mentor, which is part of Y Combinator, who said, well, like, if your users are in New York, why the hell are you in like LA? Like, go fly out there, knock on their doors and figure out what they like about Airbnb, what they don't like. Talk to your users. And so they have these conversations, they get this great information. And here's what came out of it, was this idea of the 11-star experience. They said, what would be a 1-star experience at Airbnb? You get there, the grass is overgrown, there's a rusty lawnmower out front, and some guy with a gun chases you off the lawn. That's not good, right? What is a 3-star experience? You got there and it worked. The place wasn't bad. And like, no one cares about 3-star experiences in life. You don't tell anybody about it, it just worked. That's not that cool. It just wasn't terrible. What would be a 5-star experience? You get there and there's a tuned guitar on the bed because they knew that you were a guitar player. And there's maybe a reservation to the hippest restaurant in town that's hard to get into. It's there for you. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And if you run the thought exercise up to this like 9-star experience, you get there and the entire community's cheering on the front lawn and welcoming you to the Airbnb, and it's epic and amazing. You get to the 11-star and you get there and like Elon Musk like takes you to Mars. Cool thing, right? You're like, oh my God, it's amazing. The cool thing is you never go back to 3. You just never, in your own business practices, 3 is never good enough. If you've gone to Mars in your mind, you're at least putting a mitt on the pillow. You're at least putting a surfboard in the room because the person surfs, and now people talk about what you do. So the reason I brought that up is if you're gunning 100-meter sprints, 90% max heart rate, battling it out, the next time that you're running easily on a mountain trail doing a 20-miler, you'll breathe through your nose just based on the fact that it's nothing like that was. You'll be like, you'd have an archetype now to say, well, wait a minute, why would I breathe through my mouth if I'm running at a trail pace, like a long distance pace for myself? You've changed your own breathing by setting a different standard for actually how hard you can go.
Yeah, it's like a high water mark.
It's a high water mark. Like I was able to maintain this pace and this heart rate breathing through my nose. I'm nowhere near that now. I'm just running some loping downhills on a trail on a big run by myself,
Yeah.
it becomes natural to breathe through the nose. It doesn't feel forced after that.
Okay. Cool, man. I'm all over it.